Salama and Dumela family.
Shalom.
Welcome back to Stepping Stones to Home. As you guys know, our last few videos have been about our experiences here on the continent, having lived in 2 countries now. One of the things we haven't talked about is
our emotional journey.
Yes. Journey or roller coaster?
It's been both. It's been a roller coaster, but the roller coaster has been taking us on this journey.
Yeah.
So it's been 4 years, as you all know, since well over 4 years now, since we relocated to the continent of Africa. And there has been a lot that we have already talked about, but we just want to talk a little bit about the emotional aspect of being away from our family for 4 years.
Right. And it's not to scare anybody, we pray the things that have happened to us don't happen to anybody else, but there is a cost of obedience, and so we just want to give our testimony of things we have been through, but by the grace of the Most High, He's been with us through it all.
Right. So with the current climate in the U.S., I've talked about this in videos about why I thought, it would be a good idea for you all to leave if I were in the U.S., why I would leave. But with the current climate in the U.S., and I'm not just talking about what I talked about in the past, but you all know about that bill that was just passed. Many people have been talking about these things. And I know a lot of times it just kind of feels like the boy who cried wolf when it comes down to the U.S. Oh, people are always saying something's going to happen, and then, it never happens. But it literally is the little boy who cried wolf. We all know that story from when we were growing up. One day, something will happen, and
that day is now.
Is not going to be, we just didn't think it would ever happen. Or people would say, actually, we didn't think it would ever happen, because every time somebody says that this was going to happen, it never did. But one day, that day will come. And just given that bill right now that the president there in the U.S. just passed, it's just a scary time. It's a powerful time. And it's a time to be thinking of every avenue. We try and come on here and give our testimonies and encourage people to leave, because I know that it can be scary. And some people do need just a little bit of encouragement or that extra push to be able to take that step of faith. And so I am happy to be able to give that encouragement to whomever needs that encouragement to take that step of faith and to trust in the Most High. Because there have been people throughout my life who have spoken into my life and helped me to have the courage to do certain things pertaining to trusting in the Most High. And so I want to be able to do the same thing to whomever is willing to listen, whomever has the desire and is willing to obey the Most High, to say, hey, we did it. Come on, it's okay. Because you just don't know if this is going to be you.
Right. I just want to add to that. For us, we do these videos, and we don't personally know all of you who watch our videos, who are encouraged by your videos. There's some of you who are encouraged by our videos that tell us in the comments, thank you, or you email us. But then there's ones who they receive the encouragement and they just move on behalf of the encouragement they got, and whatever the situation is, but I just want to say, we had the opportunity recently, just randomly, we were doing a Bible study online with our Africa family here, and one of our brothers had invited a young man to come on to the live. Well, it wasn't a live, but the Bible study. And we like to, just talk to each other and hear about each other's journey, what brought them to the continent. Like, what did the Most High do? How did He move you to come to the continent? And the brother was saying how, shout out to Scooter, he was saying that he was watching videos about coming to the continent and he just randomly came across our video, and it played a huge part in him and his wife sitting down, praying together, and discussing their future. And we were that encouragement to him and his wife to make that move. And, you know, they're now in Tanzania. So as he was giving that story, we didn't want to interrupt him to let him know we were on the line with him. And one of the people on the line told him, you know, we were on the line with him. And just to hear from him how much we encouraged him, that was very touching to us.
Yeah, you never know. You know, we all say that we want to be a vessel for the Most High to use, and you never know when, you know, he's going to use you for whatever purpose. So that was, you know, something that he used us with, was to help encourage. It's not us, it's him that's been doing all of the work. It's been him that's been doing the speaking. It's been him that's been, you know, it's our voice, but it's actually him that's been doing the encouragement to say, I got you.
Right.
You know, it's okay. So, just like I say, you don't know if it's going to be you that is going to have to leave and leave your loved ones. So that's why we wanted just to come on here and just tell you a little bit about our emotional journey with having to leave our loved ones. Some people have had the opportunity to go back, and then there are ones of us who either have not had the opportunity to go back, or the Most High directed not to go back. And whatever way, you have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
With this bill, you just don't know if it's safe to even go back anymore. You don't know what you may encounter. And it's like, it's not the Most High that has told you or is leading you and telling you, go take care of whatever and come back, then it's something that you definitely might want to take a pause. If you come to the continent, take a pause before you make that decision to go back into
Babylon,
the U.S. So,
I'll go first.
Ahead.
So, you know, when we left, you know, when we first left Atlanta, you know, we drove down to Florida to see my wife's family. My mother was living in Florida at the time, you know, and so we went down to say our goodbyes, you know, and I remember me and my mom have always been real close, you know, and I remember sitting there talking with my mom and saying to her, if you want to see me in person again, you're going to have to come to the continent, because the Most High is telling me don't step foot back over here. You know, and that was hard for me. You know, Isha G will tell you, I'm a mama's boy. I'm just keeping it real.
Yes,
I'm a mama's boy. You know, and so my mom's been through some things in her life, you know, and I praise the Most High that Isha G was with me to help me take care of her during those times. So it was rough, but the Most High, he made a way. You know, he brought my stepdad into her life to be there while I'm not there.
Yeah.
So I was very thankful for that, you know, and so leaving there, having seen our nieces and nephews, my sister and brother-in-laws, my mom, my father-in-law, my grandmother-in-law, you know, it was hard saying goodbye to all of them, you know, but then we came here to the continent, and it was like, man, we're not going to see them again unless they leave.
Now, I just want to say real quick, the Most High did not give me that message when we left that this was a one-way trip and that we weren't coming back.
He did give it to her later on.
Later on, it dropped in me, and I was like, wow, you know, I'm going to try not to say, you know, so much, because I realized on the last video how much I said it.
So,
yeah,
you know, the first emotional struggle dealing with family back in the West that happened, we were probably about 2 or 3 months into the house. If you guys remember the video that we did called Yah's Been Good to Me, where, you know, the house I had told you about that, you know, the wife had been praying about, brand new build that we moved into. My uncle Rodney passed away. He was my mom's baby brother. And me and him, you know, around the time I turned 10, we just kind of had a falling out. I know it sounds crazy how as an adult have a falling out with a 10-year-old, but I was a little different, all right? And, you know, so we had a falling out, you know, and it just never really got better over the years. And that really troubled me as I became an adult, you know. And so when he passed, it was very emotional for me, you know, because we never had an opportunity to make amends. And knowing that I won't see him again was very traumatic in a way for me. And I'm sorry for keep saying, because I just did it. See, because you said it and I started doing it. I'm sorry, y'all. All right, you know what? Every time I do it, I owe you 10 Pula. Every time you do it, you owe me 10 Pula. Deal?
Okay.
Okay.
We're going to have to rewatch this video to see how many times we did it. Okay.
No, but see, that was before.
Okay. So, for me, I really, really miss my family. I'm not going to even lie. I was always very close with my family. I grew up in a big family. There are 8 of us. Is it 8? 1, 2? It's 8 of us.
Living.
9 of us. Is it 8 or 9?
It was 9 altogether, but there's 8.
It's either 8 or...
No, wait. There's 9 living because of Anthony.
It's 9 of us.
Living because of Anthony, yeah.
And so I grew up in a big family. Now, I think we told y'all before, it's not just my immediate family. We're a good size. I can't even say that we big. Comparing
your immediate family.
My grandparents, who
your
had,
father.
Right, he's one of like 21. And
21.
then his father is one of like 32. And then his father is one of like 50.
Yeah.
So my little family of 8, 9, we grew up close. I have 2 other sisters. And so I miss them. I miss our son. We actually raised my little brother. My mom passed away when he was 4 years old. And so from that time, it was kind of part-time us having him. And then part-time my sisters helping to take care of him with my dad. Because, of course, it's very difficult when you lose your spouse. My parents, they were married for 30 years. So it was hard for my dad. So he needed the help with raising my little brother. And then when my little brother turned 6, 7, he came to live with my husband and I full time. And we had him
here.
Up until we moved here. He was 17 years old. And we really wanted him to come with us. But at that point, he's 17. He has a year before he graduates. He has his dad and all his other siblings there in the U.S. Even though we raised him, it was just really hard for him to
leave everybody.
Right. Everybody else, his brothers, his other sisters, his dad. And so he decided to stay. But we raised him for years until he would always say, "That's my brother's son." Yeah. He was like a son, like really like a son. So it was difficult leaving him. It was difficult because our son, he lives in Vegas.
We didn't get to see him before we left.
We didn't get to see him face to face before we left. And since we've been here, he's had children. More children, right. So it was very hard. I grew up in a close-knit family. I grew up very close to my sisters.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, with our son that's in Vegas, at the time, we had only seen our first grandson maybe once. Once we saw him, held him, they came down to visit us for about a week in Atlanta. That was very precious to us. So our oldest grandson, we have only seen in person one time, held him, loved on him one time in person, and we had to leave that.
And the other 2, we've never gotten a chance to hold them. So it's nice that we have the FaceTime, but it's not the same. And It's really not what you ever imagined your life would be. Just not being able to be there when you have children and grandchildren growing up. You have younger nieces and nephews growing up and you're not there. And like I said, for me, it was hard, leaving my sisters. Cha-ching. You just did it too. So it was hard leaving my sisters because we grew up close. we did, and it was always nice having them, being able to have days where it's just the girls go out. I don't get that anymore. I haven't had that in over 4 years, and it's certain things like that that I miss. I miss hanging out with my sisters. I miss hugging my sisters. I miss hugging my dad. I miss hugging our sons. I miss hugging, my nieces and nephews.
Yeah, it's funny because when me and Isha G first got married, just like any father, nobody's good enough for their daughters, and I respect that because, as a man, when you have a daughter, you have certain expectations that you want for your daughter, and you want to know that when I let my daughter go into that man's hands, I know she's going to be taken care of. My father loves me. I know he does, but for the first 5 years of our marriage, my name was Leroy.
Yes, that's my dad. If you marry one of his girls, he will not call you by your name until you prove, pretty much, it seems, that you're actually going to be there.
Yeah, so I was Leroy for 5 years, but I'm son-in-law now.
Yes.
He asks about me when we talk to him. He loves to see my face and talk to me, and I really appreciate that. He's been a great help to me.
Now, my nieces and nephews, they were small when we left South Florida. I'm from South Florida originally, Broward County. And they were very little when we moved to Georgia. We moved to right outside of Atlanta, Georgia, Marietta. They were in our life so much, especially my younger sister, her firstborn. We call him Bubby.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was always with us. And then when she had her second son, he was with us as well, Zai. So she had her daughter, and we had already moved to Georgia, but they would come to stay with us for the summers.
Mm-hmm.
We were very close with them. So leaving that, it hurt.
Yeah.
And it was hard for me leaving to come to the continent because I didn't know. I just felt like I'm not going to be close to them anymore. And I was hoping, like I said, I didn't get the message about not going back at that time. And I was just hoping that things would have been where at least once a year I could go back and see my family and everything. It didn't turn out that way. However, I quickly began to realize what the Most High's plan was. We used to talk all the time, me and the younger children. And like my grandchildren, they weren't born at the time. We were on the phone all the time, FaceTime, different things. They called me TT and TT this, TT that. And they would want to stay on the phone for hours with TT. When the boys got older, they want to play wrestling, put the phone on video. TT, you got to watch us wrestle. So
don't forget when they were on the trampoline in the backyard.
Yes, you got to watch us do flips. And Uncle Steve, you got to play the wrestling music for us. So it's like all those things. We'd be on the phone with them for about an hour or more just watching them. And It's like I wasn't down there anymore because I was a TT, he was the uncle. We roll all over the floor playing all kind of stuff with them. That's just how we are. And so that was nice. But when we got to the continent, the calls continued, but then they began to slow down. Even with our son, my sisters, they just began to slow down.
Life
just begins to happen. And it's like when you're not there in a person's life, a person don't always think about you in the same way. And it's not to say that they don't love you or care about you, but life goes on.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing for us on this side. We still talk, but it just was not as frequently as we did before. And then as the children got older, they didn't want to talk on the phone and play and watch us wrestle and things anymore. So
and they started making friends in the neighborhood, right, going bike riding and stuff.
So for me, it started just like, man, I just realized that I'm missing out on watching them grow up. And then we had our grandchildren, they're little now, and just seeing how quickly time passes.
Yeah.
And our youngest grandson, it seems like he was born yesterday, but he's going on 3 years old.
Mm-hmm. And his sister's about to be a year old soon.
Yeah, so life is just going on and you're watching them on video pass, and sometimes it hurts your heart because you feel like you're missing out on that part
Right.
of their life. You don't get to be a part of that. When everybody else talks about, oh, this when he had his graduation from this and he did this, and you're not there. You're not in the pictures anymore.
Yeah, and during that time of being gone, her older brother, he had another daughter.
Yes.
We weren't there for that.
We weren't there.
We've been there for the births around all of her siblings' children, but we know his youngest daughter, we weren't there for that. And then, you can talk about Jacoby.
Well, before Jacoby, and then the brother that's right underneath me, he has a daughter. She is an adult now. She graduated and everything, and her sister's getting ready to graduate. So you missed out on those things. You missed out on the graduations and, the whatever decisions that they're making in their life. Like you say, my little brother Jacoby, who we raised him for the most part for many years.
This is graduation.
We missed the graduation. He just had a son.
Yep.
And that right there, it really hit because he was the little one in my household. He was always tagging along with this one, going to concerts and everything. When he got into trouble, it was me going to see what's going on at the school. And even though it was rough, but I just kind of miss him being young. But now he has a son, right? Going to his games because he was big into sports. Any sport you put in front of him, he could master it. And so he has a child now. We weren't able to be there for that. So it hurts. It hurts. Like I said, you see pictures, everybody's there. You're not there anymore.
Right.
So.
And, the other thing that, like I mentioned about my uncle passing, during that first few months of us being in Tanzania, my wife's grandfather on her mother's side passed away. That was rough for her, and for me as a husband, it hurt me in two different ways, because he wasn't here anymore, and then to watch my wife dealing with, I'm not there. I'm not there to support my grandmother, my aunts, my uncles, and I'm not there to support my siblings as the family deals with this loss, because my wife has always been kind of like, since her mom passed away, she's been like the glue with her family, I always say, when her mom passed, she turned into her mom, but she wasn't there. And so that was hard for her, and I had to watch her go through that. The same way with my uncle, she had to watch me go through that, so that's one of the things that, we give glory to the Most High, that He strengthened us during those times. And so, like she said, missing the special moments with the nieces and nephews, with the siblings, it was rough. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We want to give it to y'all, the good, bad, and the ugly. It was rough, but it made us stronger.
Yeah, I definitely had to, even though I am an adult, I was an adult at the time when I came here, but it's like a different type of growing up, I guess, in a way. That's how what I can relate it to where you understand that, okay, when those things start happening, they hit you, you take a pause and it's like, okay, it's time to basically grow up in a different way. It's time to become a big girl in a different way. Because you don't have the support from your family anymore. You don't have anybody that if anything happens, I could go there. That just doesn't exist over here. And I know some people will be like, so you mean they don't support or whatever? They don't. Listen, it's just different not having your family there when you're going through things. That you're accustomed to them being there. Them being there to listen to whatever is going on. You're listening to their issues and things that's going on. But you just have to really realize that we're not on our own, but we're on our own.
Yeah.
And I say we're not because we have the Most High, but you're on your own. And the Most High provides the support system that you need when you are here. But you realize that's not the ones that you grew up with. They're not the support system anymore. It's not what you're accustomed to. And it's learning people all over again. You know your siblings, you know your dad, your grandmother, your children. So it's a new way of learning how to exist
Right.
without family being around. So let me see. Yeah, my grandfather was hard for me, but it was the first time because I didn't think it was going to be that quick that somebody in my family passed away because we had only been here for a few months, maybe like 4 or 5 months before he passed away, and it made me start thinking about, the day will come when others will pass away. What do you do? How are you going to react? How is that going to be with me being all the way over here? And then, the thoughts of family members, they all want you to come back. I don't like funerals. After my mom passed, and that whole process with having to put her in the ground, I just hate the whole process of funerals. Especially when you're a close one to the family and a lot of the responsibility is on you. I just didn't like it because it's like an image that you have to keep seeing over and over and over again. With my mom, I handled a lot of the things. So when it came down to going to the hospital after she passed, you had to go there to, identify the body. In the morgue, you have to go there to make sure the body is the way that you want. When you go and get the clothes, then they dress the body. You have to go there and make sure that they're dressed properly. The programs and going through old pictures, and then when it's time for the service, you go there and view the body, and it was just
a lot.
It was a lot, and I was just like, you know what? I never want to see one of my loved ones like this again. It did a lot to me, and I'm like, I feel like the way that we have funerals and stuff today is torment in a way. People say, oh, you're going to pay your last respect. How are you respecting them? They ain't there. One, it's just literally you have an image that's like ingrained in your head forever
of a lifeless, spiritualist body.
Loved one. And you can never get rid of that image. And so I just never wanted to go through that again. I used to hear people say, I prefer to remember you how you were. I completely understand. And I'm not saying that you'll never have to lay someone to rest or see a loved one like that, but it's just, I'm saying the frequency of having to see them like in that state, their body in that state over and over again, knowing that they're with the Most High, but still, that's the body that I remember. That's the body I remember laughing and kissing me and hugging me, and it's hard.
Cha-ching. I know you're talking about your mama, but that was cha-ching.
So that's just, it was hard with my grandfather, him passing, and like I know my loved ones, they didn't understand because they wanted me to come back, and I'm like, I don't want to come and just to see him laying in a casket like that.
Another thing that we've been dealing with lately is my mom has been in and out of the hospital. That's been rough on us. Mm-hmm. My father-in-law's been in and out of the hospital lately. That's been rough. And most recently, my wife's grandmother has been in and out of the hospital. And so it's been a lot of emotions running through both of us.
Yeah. Especially because these instances with them going to the hospital been serious things that they've been back and forth into the hospital with. And like my husband said, I have always been one that has been there when it comes down to taking care of the different ones in the family. Other people help, don't get me wrong, but that's just me. With my mom, I was in the hospital. I didn't really leave her side. I was staying the night in the hospital. When my husband's mother, a few years ago, she had cancer surgery, I was there. I was staying the night with my mother-in-law, helping my mother-in-law. When I was about 6, 7 years old, my great grandmother, sometimes my grandma had to leave and the house and I would be left there with my great grandma. There are a few times where she got sick, and as a 6, 7 year old, I had to take care of her, knowing what to do, how to call the paramedics, how to call for help, how to get other loved ones to come here because I was little. So it's just something that I've always done. So with these issues that have been arising with the family and being sick, different ones, me not being there, it feels like I should be helping. It feels like I should be there to help carry the load, but I can't be there to help carry the load.
Right.
My dad, I grew up a mama and daddy's girl. True story, when I was little, nobody could keep me except for my mom and dad. My grandparents could not keep me. Only my mom and dad could keep me, or honestly, I would just cry the whole time. My grandma used to say I used to hold my breath until they thought I was gonna die. But I just grew up like that with my mom and dad. So my dad, I will always tell him, I'm like, Dad, when you get old, now this is when I was younger, you're gonna come and live with me. I'm gonna take care of you. And now my dad, he's in his 70s and he's been going through health issues, and it's like I always thought I would be the one to take care of my dad. Even though I have a lot of siblings, it's just that's my dad. I want to take care of him. But I'm not able to take care of him. My mother-in-law, we said the same thing. When you get old, you're gonna come and live with us. We'll take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
We're not there to take care of her. So it's just one of those things how you just never know what the Most High may write for your life, and you have to be okay with what He has written for your life. No matter how much it may hurt.
Yeah. And, even another thing for me is, a lot of you who've been following us from the beginning, we were a part of, the assembly in Atlanta, and that really started to take off. And then the Most High told us to leave, and so we left that assembly in our brother's hands, so a lot of things that we started out doing together, I see pictures and videos online on Facebook of them enjoying, the Most High's feast days, and that was our family, and so I miss missing out those days with them, as we all learn in this walk and grow in this walk and begin to appreciate the feast days and celebrate them as Yah's people, so a lot of times when I see those, it chokes me up a little bit because, I wish I could have been there. But, I look forward to the day where they're here on the continent and we're doing those together, But I will say all of these things that we've been through on this journey have made us stronger.
Yeah, they definitely have. Stronger. We just never knew how strong you would have to be. But you really, really have to be strong. You don't know what you have the capability of handling until you actually have to handle it
and go through it.
And go right. So, like you said, the congregation we were a part of, and even our very close brother in that congregation, even he had a close loss where his father passed away, and we were very close with them. And not being able to be there to offer our comfort, our support. Recently, my dad's cousin passed away. I know he's my cousin, but he's his first cousin. And my dad was close with him. And so, hearing my sister saying that she can tell that my dad is really sad and just, hurting from his cousin passing away, I'm not there to hug my dad and to say, Dad, it's okay. Him going through the things that he's going through, say, Dad, I know you don't like what you're going through, but it's okay. We're here to take care of you. I love you. I'm not there for that. My sister, she had a friend, like one of her best friends, passed away. And just hearing my sister, I could hear just how torn up she was. And not being there to hug my sister.
Yeah. Not to
To
mention the the situation going on with my father-in-law, seeing our youngest sister, who was putting a lot of stress on her because she's having to deal with a lot of it.
mm-hmm.
And that bothers us. That we can't be there to support her in this time as well.
Right. And my aunt that's actually taking care of my grandma. My grandmother just had 2 strokes back to back.
Yeah.
And she's back in the hospital. So I'm just all these things. It hasn't been easy. It hasn't been easy being over here, seeing everything from a distance, looking at faces over the phone, and knowing that there's really nothing that you can do but offer them your prayers. You can encourage over the phone, but sometimes it's just when you're going through, sometimes it feels real good to have a hug from somebody that you normally support on.
Right.
You support you know that they normally support you. You know that you normally can count on to support you.
Yeah.
So you just have to let those things go, understanding that everything is in the Most High's hands, and He's the one that's getting them through all of those things. And it is honestly not our job to even be that to them. We can't alleviate pain. The Most High can. I can give you words and it can sound good. You can cry on my shoulders, but that peace that your heart needs, it comes from the Most High, not me. So it really is a part of letting go of even your family members and allowing them to completely be in the Most High's hands, knowing that there's absolutely nothing I can do to help you from over here, and being okay with that and saying, Yahuwah will take care of whomever in the way that He chooses to take care of them. They're in His hands, and those are the best hands for a person to actually be in,
right.
The Most High's hands. So, yeah, it's not easy when these things come. And every time these things come, it makes me think of what is to come. Because we know what's getting ready to happen. And so I really, just like many of you, I want my family to leave, but I cannot make them leave. I want them to see the writing on the wall, but I can't open their eyes for them to see it.
Right.
I want them to go somewhere else, anywhere else, but I can't make them. I can't make them see the seriousness of it as much as I want to. I had to just be obedient and just let go. I've been praying for my heart, because of everything that's going on. Like, Most High, I'm putting my heart in your hands pertaining to my family, because I don't know any day when I wake up over here on the continent. I have no idea what I'm going to read on my phone on the news feed. I have no idea if it's going to say something destructive has finally happened for real in the U.S. or in areas where my family members are. I have no idea. Right. And if it does, I have to be okay. Yeah. And that's hard to think about because the day is coming. I don't know what's going to happen. I wonder sometimes, will I ever get a chance to see my grandchildren? Will I ever get a chance to see my family again? I don't know. I would love to, but I did not write my life. I don't dictate my story. Only the Most High does. I apologize. Only the Most High does, and I have to be okay with whatever it is that He's written, because I definitely can't change it.
No. So I hope that you guys understand we're not trying to scare anyone, but we just, look, our channel is called Stepping Stones of Home. There's little steps you have to take in this journey to make it to home. Yeah. We want you guys to be prepared for things you might go through, because some of you might be blessed where the Most High allows you to bring all those people with you when you come.
And we've met people who have come with several of their family members.
Right.
But for the most part, we have not. And it reminds me of the scripture that talks about one will be taken from a city and two from a family. For the most part, that's what we see. It's very, very few that come out as far as from a family. Normally, it's one or two people that come out, or one family will come out from the whole family. Um, so you don't know what that might look like for you, but it's something that you have to take into consideration and think about, that taking this step, there is a price that we have to pay.
Right. But I want to encourage you through the word, for those of you who are being called out by the Most High, who is telling you, look, go now, leave now, trust me. This is what his word says. This is what the Messiah said in Matthew chapter 19, verse 29. And everyone that has forsaken houses or brethren or sisters or father or mother, even their wife or children or lands, for Yahuwah's name's sake, shall receive 100-fold, and they shall inherit everlasting life. So be encouraged if your loved ones are saying, I don't want to leave, I don't want to go. But the Most High is telling you, remember, obedience is better than sacrifice.
Right. Right. So that's the cost, but in that same verse, it's the reward that we're after.
Right.
So to get that reward, you may have to let go of your family. I was told recently by one of my family members, when I was telling them, y'all, look at what's going on. They was like, families are going to be torn apart. What you're talking about that you're telling us to do. Exactly. They will be torn apart. Unfortunately, but it's the truth. We cannot save everybody just because we love them.
Right.
We cannot make people listen. Every person has a path, has a choice that they have to make. The Most High is putting the word out, but it's their choice to make. It's not ours to make for them. Some people may have to leave their spouses behind. That's just the honest truth. What are you willing to pay for that reward?
Are you willing to love the Most High more than you love your family? Because if he's talking to you, sometimes he's only talking to you and not you and your mama and your daddy and your siblings. Sometimes he's just telling you, because you are that one in the family that he's calling out in this time. It doesn't mean that you might not see them again, or it could mean you're not going to see them again. But you have to be willing to trust him, that he knows what's best for you.
Right. So I don't want y'all to just feel like, every time they do a video, it's just about, these bad things that have happened on the continent. There are wonderful things here as well.
Yeah, we're trying to prepare your hearts for anything.
This is a race. This is a fight. It is literally about enduring to the end.
Yes.
And there are good times that you have. There are hard times that you have. There are happy moments, joyous. There are sad times. And it's to understand that just be prepared for whatever, that you go through with, because it's for a reward. And so there's a price to following Yahusha.
Yeah.
And we just didn't know how hefty that price would be.
Right.
But we're learning as we're here that it is a hefty price that you have to pay. But you trust in his word that the rewards and being with him one day outweighs any family members, anything that we can think of that we love so much. That day when we can actually spend eternity with him, it's worth it all.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say, when it comes down to those decisions, don't let family keep you from what the Most High has for you.
Yes. And so, family, thank y'all, for joining us in this video. If you're new to the channel, welcome.
Yes.
If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please hit the subscribe button.
Yes.
Our other subscribers, please share this video with your friends and family. Like we said, we just want to encourage you guys to hear from people who have made the move, who have made the journey. And there are, like my wife said, joyful times here as well. And even if the Most High told us, I'm going to take you back in time and you're going to have to do this all over again, but you're going to remember everything, I wouldn't change anything, because he wrote this for a purpose, and it is making us stronger in him. You know, and I just hope that we continue to encourage you guys in this time of craziness going on in this day. You know, so again, please like, share, comment.
Yes.
Do you have anything else, love?
I just want to say, for those of you that have been reaching out to us about repatriating and connecting you, we're here for you. We're trying to reach out to everybody. If we don't respond to you right away, just know that we will respond to you through the email, but we're here to help in any way that we can. Even if you just need somebody to pray with you, we're here. So all of our information is
in the description box.
In the description box.
Yeah. And, you know, if you guys want to support what we're doing, we encourage you to become a Patreon member, or you can send us a Cash App. Thank you guys again, and we'll see you in the next video. Shalom.
Shalom.